Okay, so we're going to learn Chav Beis and Beis tonight. We're going to start on the Mishnah about Aleph on the bottom. So now the Mishnah goes on to other factors, whether there's going to be yibum or not. Anytime one has a brother, doesn't matter. It's always going to force the widow to yibum. And then we go on a tangent, and once we mention that he's a brother for yibum, he's a brother for everything. The one exception to all this is if one has a brother, but they're only related because the mother, they share a mother who is a shifcha or a goya, so they're not called related. So they're not called brothers, and no yibum between them, and they're not brothers for other ideas. We'll see in the Gemara what it's coming to include. Anyone who has a son, it patters his father's wife from yibum. So we mentioned this before. Yibum is not dependent upon children, her children. It doesn't matter where she has children. It has to do with him, as we'll see in the pasuk. If he has a child, there's no yibum. If the man who died did not have a child, then there's yibum. Any type of child, ben mikol makom. We'll see in the Gemara who that's coming to include. So then again on a tangent, this son who's a son is going to be obligated chiyuv misa if he hits or curses the father, and he's really a son for every inyan. Again, the exception to all this is a son who's only a son through a shifcha or a goya. So that's an example where we say that son is not Jewish. So that son is not going to be a chayiv in hakah, klala, and he's not going to be a son to pater for yibum.
So we say that let's say you had a woman who never had children, and then she married a man that had children already.
Right.
No yibum.
Right.
Okay.
What does it mean? Mishnah says in the beginning, any type of brothers. So there's a riboy there. Any type of brother, including who? Mamzer. Even a brother's a mamzer. Also, there is a zikol yibum. So, as we said in the previous Mishnah, midarabanan we came out. We're not going to let him do yibum because I say the but maybe he'll continue doing after the dechiyah is over, after this is over. But L'mais the zik is there. So not at the right level, chalitzah is required. What's the chiddush? You would have thought a mamzer is not going to be mezakik his wife. He's a brother. So interesting, like we had in the beginning of the parak, that there's this hakish to Ben Yaakov in order to prove what? At the beginning of the parak? That yibum is from the father, that the yibum, it has to be dafka, they're all b'ilama together, right? That was one of the sources. Just like Ben Yaakov, they're all living at the same time. So similarly, we would have thought to compare Achva and Ben Yaakov, like be this, that they all have to be ksherim. If there's not all ksherim, then there's no yibum. Kamash Mulan, that is not true. Why don't we make that limud? Yibum niftar mizkak namizakik. So the Gemara says, since when it comes to yibum, a son who is even a mamzer, a puzzle, is going to pater the father's wife from yibum, and that's going to be a Joshua coming later in the Amud on the base. Any type of a son, even a mamzer is going to pater. So we connect that also with the brother. So a son is able to pater when he's also a brother is able to be mechayiv even though he's a puzzle. Says the Gemara on the base on the top. We said that this person, this brother, any type of brother, even a mamzer, is going to be a brother for all inyanim. Lamai hilchaso. What's it coming to include? Yorshir latamila. So the brother who's a mamzer will inherit the other brother. Also, he has the mitzvah to be metame, even though he's a kohen. Rashi says, and he's a mamzer. He's metame for his brother who died to bury him. Pshita achivu. Again, why do you think a mamzer doesn't have this yerusha or tumah? He's a brother. It doesn't say about yerusha or tumah anything about whether he's kosher or not. So it says like this. It says that the kohen, right? He's metame. He's not allowed to become tam. Maybe metame to the 7 relatives. The 7th one is his wife. His wife. What's she'ero? His wife. On another pasuk, lo yitame bal ba'amav leichalot. Then it says a husband is not able to be metame to his wife to desecrate his kohana. Yesh bal shematame, yesh bal shematame. So you see a contradiction here. The answer is sometimes yes, sometimes not. What is that? That is, only to his wife who's ksheira, who he's allowed to be married to, then he's matame, not the wife who's not allowed to be married to. So you see already within whether there's a mitzvah to be matame and a heter to be matame for the kohen, for that person, it makes a difference whether his wife is kosher or not. So we have a havamina that we would have applied that to other relatives as well. Yeah, he's matame to the brother, but maybe only the kosher brother, not to the non-kosher brother. So there we have our Mishnah telling us, no, even a mamzer matame for his brother the mamzer. So why don't we make this limud from the wife? The difference is that over there we don't look at, in a way we could see his wife who's posel as almost like not his wife. They're married technically, right? There's kedushin, but because it's lafuki, he's supposed to get divorced from her. So we don't see the relationship as strong. As opposed to here, meaning he is a brother, he will be a brother. There's no ending that relationship. Fact. Says the Mishnah, Gemara, the only exception is if they only are brothers sharing a mother who is a shivcha or a gaya. They're not related. My time. Because it says by the shivcha that her children follow after her. Okay, so if her children follow after her, so then they're not related because she's a gaya. She's a shivcha in this case. And the Gaya, the Gemara is going to bring a Joshua here on Chalitzah off. Next time, we'll see. Says the Gemara, anyone who has any type of son patters the father's wife from yibum. So here also there's a riboy. Any type of son. Who's coming to the Gemara? But Rabbi Segal Mamzer. Coming to include the Mamzer, even a Mamzer son is considered a son to pater the father's wife from yibum if the father dies. It says in the posuk, if you look at the whole posuk, when brothers live together, same world, one of them dies, uvein in lo, and he doesn't have a son. So this is the source for it's him, not her. We don't care about her having children. It's lo, uvein in, and it says loshen ein. So ein we say means ayin alav. So ayin alav means to check. You check into, you do a good search. It's a way of expressing that any type of son that can be found in the system, as we say in the computer. So any type of son that can be found in his lineage and his descendants will be a Torah of yibum, even a mamzer, or any type of soul. That's the idea. Rashi says that the reason why we're darshaning into ayin is because it should have said on. Sometimes in the pasuk it says aleph nun as an expression of not. So why to add the extra yod? So you're supposed to darshan as if it's an ayin. Well, now if you look at Masir Shas, interesting. There's another malach here that says it from the Sma that ayin olav. It's not like Rashi that we're switching the word ayin to ayin to search, but ayin sometimes means efes. There is none. So in that way, ven elo, it means literally nothing. Ayin has an expression sometimes to express not at all, nothing, totally nothing. So that's another way to understand it. Not because we're switching the alf to the ayin, just the word expresses it. The Mishnah continue that the son is going to be chayiv on hitting this father. We have a pasuk v'nosi v'amacha losar. You can only not curse the nosi in your nation, but usamai zamcha. Darshan ba'amacha means when he is acting in the Torah way, in the way of your nation, the Torah way. And we use that as a binyanav, not just binogea to cursing the nosi, but also to the father. That the son cursing the father is chayimisa is only when the father is acting properly in the Torah way. This father, if he created a mamzer, so then he obviously did an aver. He's not using my zamcha. So why is the son chayiv on the makar? Says the Gemara. The answer is okay. We'll make the case where he did teshuva, where that was he expressed that there in Baba Kam. Let's use the same answer. The father did teshuva after he made the mamzer, and then the mamzer is going to be chayiv in chayimisa and cursing that father. How can you say he's a bar tshuva? You can't fix it. What's crooked? Once the mamzer is created, you can't fix it. He's in existence. Okay, in a chanami, there's some aspect of what he did that can't be fixed, but it doesn't mean to say that his actions are not aligned with the Torah anymore. He did teshuvah and he's aligned with the Torah. Yeah, he created something that can't be fixed. Fine. Now the Gemara moves on to a bigger sugya that's going to bring us all the way to the Mishnah Achov Gimel and Beis for the next minute and a half. Tanu Rabban. Habala choisoy v'hibas eishes aviv. So one who is mizana with his sister, who happens to also be the daughter of his father's wife. In other words, a sister that came about through an actual marriage. Not that his father was ma'anis a woman and had this offspring, this girl who's his sister also. But it's an actual sister that his father had with a married wife.
That's just saying that's what the Gemara is adding when it says Bash Isis Aviv. That's like, okay, that's obvious. Meaning we're trying to say they're related by the father, but it's trying to emphasize the fact that it came through regular marriage.
Right.
Okay.
And it's saying there's two different isurim in the Torah. One is just for the plain achoso, regardless of how she's created, whether it's he's ma'anis or not. And the second one is specific to, like we just said. Okay, so that's the first opinion. No, there's not two isurim. It's only achoso. He doesn't have an additional isur of the fact that she's bas ishes aviv, more specific, right? My tamayu derabanon, where the rabbanon coming from to make two isurim? So really, amri michti, look at the psukim, right there, nacharimus, ksiv, ervas achayischa bas avicha vasimecha. So this is pasuk tes in nacharimus, yurches tes. So it says the erva of achayischa bas avicha vasimecha, whether she's your sister through only your father, or only your mother, okay, half sister, and then ervas bas ish zavicha manas zavicha choscha hilomali. If you look at the few psukim later, Yud Aleph, it says it again. Ervas bas ish zavicha. There it expresses it as if she's bas ish zavicha. She's coming about through a marriage, and then achoscha again. So there's two different isurim. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Kra. The pasuk says achoscha hi. If you look at that second pasuk Yud Aleph, yes, it does repeat, and it repeats it in a more specific way. A sister who's bas eshes avicha, but then it says achoscha hi. So he says achoscha is saying this case. Achoscha, she's achoscha. She's the same achoscha of two psukim ago. It's coming to say, she's only your sister. It's the same answer as before. We're going to have to explain in a second, or soon. So why is the pasuk b'chal repeating anything?
Right.
That's going to be the obvious. So we'll see very soon. Hopefully on the bottom. V'rabbanan. Let's go back to Rabbanan now. What do they do with achoscha though? So very interesting. They come and say, no, there's two isurim, and then the words at the end, achoscha is coming to say that what happens if you have a sister who is a full sister? Until now we were talking half sisters. So, right in the pasuk test, it said it vasavicha o vasimacha. She's a half sister from the paternal or maternally. Here it's coming to say in pasuk Yud Aleph, achoscha, a full sister, achoscha, she's also usher. So what's the chiddush? Lomar, to teach me that. Right. Don't make a kavachomer. In general, there's a rule. You would have thought to make a kavachomer in general, to make asara. No, it teaches me you're not allowed to make asara from a kavachomer. So that's to repeat it as a full sister has an answer. Yeah, very good. So what about him? What doesn't he need it for that? And then we learn it out. The extra he is that's extra to teach me that she is the regular sister. No, if you didn't say he, I would have thought, really, usually you could make a kavachomer from Azara from a kavachomer. And then you're going to ask, so why does it say achoscha? Just make the kavachomer for the Azara. We have this rule that sometimes even if you have a kavachomer, the Torah wanted to express it clearly. There's rate about that. They say it makes it more chomer. Maybe there's even a nafkamina sometimes. It makes it more chomer if it's beferish in the pasuk. Because Rachmana, he. So it says in the Torah, he teach me clearly that no, we're going to learn from here. Ba'alma, we never make hasaras from a kavachomer, and it's not because it's tzarech l'kas l'kra that it said it. It's to teach me you don't make hasaras kavachomer.
Okay, so then that means Rabbi Yehuda Bar agrees with in Masir Min Adin, right? That's what we're.
Right.
But we're just saying, but he said, but he's being medulik on he.
Right.
Okay, fine.
Says the Gemara of Rabbi Yehuda. So now back to that question, that obvious question already before. I'm sorry. First, one more point. He says, I'm not going to accept that the he is going to be teaching me what you want to say. That usually we would never say Masir Minadin, because if that's what it was teaching me, put the he by the original pasuk. Put it by the first pasuk. The first pasuk is by the Anusa, right? The sister who's created through his nus. The second pasuk is a pasuk that's discussing more specific Basish Savicha, where the one who comes through Ishus, the sister through Ishus. So put it by the first pasuk. The more just times nus and say achos chahi, that the full sister. The first pasuk is where it expressed half sisters. So the full sister is also going to be included in the Isser. Why are you putting it in the second pasuk? So it's coming specifically with the second pasuk to teach me a miyut that this sister, who happens to be a sister from marriage, sister that the parents were married, is going to be achos chahi. She's the regular achos, so she doesn't have to Isser. Says the Gemara of Rabbi Yehuda, hi Basei Savicha my Avili. So here's the question: what are you doing with this whole pasuk? This whole thing's extra. What do you need it for? Answer is, he needs it to teach me that the only time it's a sister is an erva is only if it's a sister where the mother was able to have issues to the father. Who's that excluding? If the mother of the sister happens to be a shivcha or a goya, it's not shaykh to have issues with the father. They can't get married because she's not Jewish.
So so when it says Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehudi, Hai Bas Ishis Avicha My Ovidle, where was that question up until now? Why are we not asking that until here? Meaning is that's more like Bash Ishis Avicha. I thought that he said that was coming to exclude this case, or saying that was a halachically, that's what was coming to exclude the case. So the fact that it repeated Bash Ishis Avicha,
right?
What's the? I'm saying we have to understand even within. Fine, forget about the fact that we're learning a halachically and all of his drushes, so the fact that excludes the fact that there's an additional lav on this.
It's more than that. The only reason why you need to exclude it is because it's written. If you didn't have the whole pasuk, you wouldn't need to exclude anything, right? Take out the whole pasuk get out, and all you have is pasuk test, and it says that a sister who's from a basavicha, ovasimecha, right, is an isser. There would be no havamina to make it a second isser if it didn't say it. So, what do you need pasuk get out to express this case of basish savicha, and then tell me, oh, you should know that she's the regular achoscha. There's no extra isser. Of course not. It doesn't say there's an extra isser until you say it in pasuk get out. In fact, you want to just remove the whole pasuk, right? Now you don't need the mute of achoscha. Yeah. It should be simple. So the Gemara is saying, no, you couldn't remove the pasuk. There's a separate chiddush being expressed that the sister that we talked about is pasuk tes has to be Evres bas ishes avicha. That the mother of that sister has shaykh to get married to the father. Ishes. There's no tfisa kedushin to the guy. So now we give a whole number of possible other ways to understand what Bas Eish Zavicha is coming to exclude. That why is the conclusion that Rabbi Yossi Yehuda comes out with is what we said, that it's coming to exclude where the mother is a Shifcha or a Gaya.
No, this din was our Mishnah, no?
Yeah, that's why this whole sugya is here.
Okay.
Very good. So it's very good what you say. Rabbi Yossi Yehuda's makar that a child that comes from a Gaya or a Shivcha is not considered related is so far this pasuk by the sister. Because we also had on the top of the Amid here by the Shivcha was the pasuk in Mishpatim in Avishiv Ledati Eladinav. That was by the Shivcha, and here it's by the Lafuki. It also mentions Shivcha here. We're going to get to that at the end of the sugya. Really, Shivcha we already had a makar, but Gaya is being added now. Why don't we say that the pasuk is coming to exclude a woman who is just simply not married from the father? This is Bas Eish Zavicha. So it could exclude, like we said, a woman who is not able to be married. Why don't we say a woman who literally is not married? He was mezana. That sister, if they have a girl, that sister is not going to be under the erva. You can't say that. I mean, the Rava Rami. Rava had a steering. The erva, a different erva. Right? It says a granddaughter, his own granddaughter, Lo Segal. Habas ben Hadida, Habasida, Shari. But then it's mashma only his own. But his a woman's, the one who he had the granddaughter through, whichever woman that was, it sounds like it's fine. Then it has another different pasuk. Clearly says there's an erva with a woman with her granddaughter. Okay, so Rava said the first pasuk is talking where he was mezana. He never got married to these women. So the first pasuk, if he never got married to the woman, doesn't matter. If any granddaughter which is from him is going to be usher as an erva, but if she happens to have a granddaughter from a different man, so then that granddaughter is not related to him, and that's where they have the miyut that granddaughter has no erva to mutter. But the second pasuk is where there's issues, so then a man is not able to marry a woman, and her granddaughter, even though the granddaughter did not come about, it's not his offspring, it didn't come from him. So just like Rava says over there, that idea that any time it's a relative, it's an offspring of him specifically, it's relative of him, doesn't matter if it comes through marriage or through snos, so who did by his sister? We're saying it's not going to make a difference if the sister comes about through snus or through ishus. It's a sister. Sister is a sister. Therefore, when we make the exclusion, as bas ishus of icho, we're going to exclude a woman who's not shaykh to ishus, like the guy or the shifcha. All right. Pick up next time, Bezrat Hashem, with Chav